With mountain peaks reaching nearly 14,000 feet high, the Grand Tetons tower like giants over Jackson, Wyoming. Their grand scale is a source of inspiration and encouragement to blacksmith David Norrie.
You fantasize about doing certain things in your work, and I've always wanted to work larger. Well, since I have been here for 3.5 years, everything is large and everything is heavy since then. This doorway, well, it is a doorway. It's an entrance to a house. The opening is 10.5 feet high and just over 8 feet wide. The chandeliers are very heavy as well. They're about 700 pounds each.
David discovered blacksmithing a quarter century ago when he took a summer job assisting artisans at a pioneer village.
There was a harness shop, and there was a printing shop, and weavers, and a flour mill that they stone ground flour, and then blacksmith and gunsmiths and all these different buildings and stuff, and I had to do a little of each.
David enjoyed assisting all the artists, but he remembers being especially fascinated by the blacksmith.
As soon as the hammer hit the hot iron, something clicked inside, and I knew it was going to be a part of my life, and within 2 years, I was in business for myself.
Today, David and his assistant, Michael Berg, are working on a massive staircase railing for a client's home. It's David's largest project to date. 126 feet of railing weighing a hefty 8,000 pounds.
We're going to taper a bar that'll be like this one here, and then we're going to put a texture on it, and then where these bars cross, these large punched holes, we'll be punching one of these holes as well, and just seeing it open up.
Before David and Michael can begin work on the railing, David must light the forge. For fuel, he uses a clean-burning form of coal known as coke.
What they've done is they've heated coal without the presence of oxygen, and then it turns into coke, and all the impurities are removed from it.
The coke is difficult to ignite, so David must use a small amount of coal to get the fire going. The heat of the burning coal ignites the coke and creates a colorful inferno, hot enough to soften steel.
The biggest thing you have to watch out for is burning metal. You know, in a coke forge, if it's in there too long, it can burn and it just gets destroyed.
David watches until the steel takes on a yellow-hot glow. That's the signal the steel is soft enough to be tapered and textured by the powerful blows of David's air hammers.
I try and texture everything. Even if the bar is just straight, we'll break the corners off and we'll put a hammered finish over a smooth bar just so it has a nice hammered look to it. It's one of the things that helps bring the whole piece to life.
When Modern Masters returns, forging a circle from a rectangular bar.
It's just one of those things that creates a very dramatic effect.
More Modern Masters in a moment. In Jackson, Wyoming, tradition outshines technology in the shop of blacksmith David Norrie.
You know, you can do a lot of fabricating, welding, and grinding and different things, but I really try and focus on using the forging processes in my work just because it's the most fun. And it's the most labor-intensive, but it's the most fun as well.
David and his assistant, Michael Berg, are using an age-old technique to pound and stretch round openings in rectangular bars of steel.
One more.
David needs the openings to lock together a decorative staircase railing he designed for a client's log home.
The room has a lot of straight lines in beams and in logs, so we just introduce a very gentle curve.
Punching holes in steel requires precision and a lot of muscle. David and Michael begin the demanding task by driving a wedge through the center of the steel rod. When they've punctured the steel, they are ready to expand the opening. Instead of heating the steel in the forge, Michael localizes the heat with a blast from a blowtorch. Then, when the area around the opening takes on an orange glow, David employs all his might to bang the base of the steel rod on an anvil, forcing the opening to balloon outward.
Just forcing the bar into itself and making the spot that is hotter, or that's hot, get thicker. And you know, the weight of the bar acts almost like the hammer, you know, where the weight is causing it to upset when you drive it down.
The opening is rounded, but not yet finished. Hammering in tandem, David and Michael drive a stake through the metal that's just large enough to stretch the opening around it.
There's a whole language actually around doing that. There's actually a language by tapping on the anvil when you're calling a person, or tapping a different way to tell them to hit harder or softer or to stop. You have to learn to work together and just, you know, and then it becomes a real flow. And you can really move metal fairly quickly.
The stake forces the opening into the uniform shape David is seeking, but the moment of triumph passes quickly. This is just one of 45 holes David must punch to complete the staircase railing.
You know, you got to go through this process every time. This is a heavy bar, so it takes a little longer. When you're going through a smaller bar, it'll go a lot quicker.
9 months of heavy work are ahead before David completes the railing and sees it installed in his client's home.
At the end of the project, you know, you've got something that is very substantial. It's a large piece that a lot of time went into, and it's very impressive at the end just to have this scale of work. Sometimes I've done projects that I've really not done before in terms of a technical level or a skill level, but I felt intuitively inside that I could do it. I think you get to a point where you just know what you're doing.
It is work on a grand scale, forged with the skill and confidence of a master.